I am still shaken up by what happened yesterday. I'm so proud of President Trump. The resolve I saw in his face when you look at his picture with his fist in the air, this is what we see in a leader, okay? This is what we want in a leader. But I'm afraid there was a lack of leadership. There was a lack of resolve when it came to the protection of President Trump. You know me, first and foremost, I love law enforcement. I do everything I can to support them. But I don't think anyone can argue there was a security breakdown. This should never have happened. There should not be any chance for a sniper to be trying to take out our former and soon-to-be future president of the United States. I have a former Secret Service agent with me today. He is a very good friend of mine. CJ Jorif is his name. He will be my guest. We'll talk about all of this, the breakdown, LGBTQ mania, the alphabet mafia. Do they play a role in all of this? Has the Secret Service become so woke like so many other agencies that the failures can now be attributed to the woke agenda, political correctness, and whatever else you want to say? If that's the case, that then almost got President Trump killed. That's what we're going to talk about today. Stinchfield 1776 is the website, Stinchfield 1776, on all the social media platforms. Let's get the party started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, folks, as promised, CJ Jorif is with me. CJ, it is great to see you. Thank you for coming on today.
No worries, Grant. Good seeing you too, brother.
Well, so I want to ask you, CJ, because I'm going to play the video of the shooting, about 30-second clip. But first off, your thoughts looking at this. You as a former Secret Service agent, someone who protected presidents, who protected dignitaries, we should never have gotten to a point like this. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, not at all. The mindset of an agent, and I've talked to many agents over the last 24 hours, and this is the training that we received. He was up on that stage way too long. After it happened, yeah, you cover, you make sure you got a plan, and you move. You move dynamically. The mindset of being able to afford him time to get his shoes or pick up a hat or stumble and fumble, you drag, you move, you get him in the car, and you get out. Yeah. The amount of time huddled on the stage there itself was way, way, way too long. Way too long.
You know, I heard criticisms of President Trump even being allowed to put his fist up. Now, I would understand from a security standpoint, you have a sniper. I did hear someone on the radio say, shoot her down, shoot her down. So, but you don't know if there's multiple shooters at the time. But I still think President Trump, we needed that fist in the air. We needed that fight, fight, fight. That was for the nation. I think he knew he was putting himself at risk. But boy, I'm grateful he did that. I'm grateful he had the opportunity to do it, CJ.
Yeah, it shows the resolve of a man and the fight, determination. I got a meme that showed a picture of the president with a lion next to it. That's the lion-hardened individual. And granted, that was great for everyone involved, showing that, yeah, we should be one unified country. But the mindset of being able to have that happen 3, 4, 5 times or whatever amount of times it did was too much.
All right,
cover and evacuate.
I want to play the video of it leading up to it and get your thoughts. Now, and then we'll talk about where this sniper was, how he was taken out, and how he even gets to a point of elevation like that. You'd think it would be covered. But let me play it so people can see it again. And it's disturbing to watch, but I think it's important we watch it. Here we go, CJ.
And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
CJ, I'm going to stop it there for a moment and we'll pick it up. The shots were fired. When I first heard it, I heard it on Twitter. I thought it was small caliber arms fire. Then I thought, was it an electrical malfunction? Because it sounded like a 22. But then as I heard it on better audio, maybe it became clear that it was not a small caliber arms fire. What are you thinking when you hear this? You see his reaction. I mean, look, He had an angel on his shoulder that day. It literally was a quarter of an inch or less from having a bullet through his brain. What are you thinking here? What are you seeing?
Based on that fire and the direction it came from, direction of his actions of being struck. Luckily, if he hadn't had his head turned to the right as it was, it would have been a broadside strike right to his head. The blessing is the agents, initially the first two that jumped on him, great. You knew the direction that came from. The thought pattern is to get him out through a sterile area. The area to the left should have been sterile. It should have had agents along that route, making sure to keep everybody else away. You saw the counter assault team come in, augmented by whoever the locals were. Grab, cover, evacuate, move. As they did the protective huddle on top of him, using their bodies to safeguard him, great, well done. But they were on that ground too long.
All right,
Who was to say that somebody could have come from the crowd or somewhere else? You need to move and evacuate.
All right, let me play it. Let's pick it up from here. And I want people to listen carefully to the audio because you hear President Trump a couple times saying, wait. He wanted to show that show of force and resolve, that lion heart that you mentioned, CJ. Here, let's play it.
Move it there. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. We ready?
Okay, we are watching live at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where former President...
All right, so then, of course, they move him on out. I was somewhat surprised it wasn't a drag. I thought they would grab him and just drag him out of there.
The mindset there is you secure a point of contact on the protectee. Normally, it's maybe a waistband. If I grab you by your waistband, Grant, I'm going to take you wherever I want to go. It's a cross-hand draw where two hands are holding. You go where we take you. It's not a matter of fumbling and stumbling, not sure where the person's hands are. I'm falling backwards. I'm falling down. I'm picking up a hat. Oh, let me get my shoes.
Yeah.
Your shoes are not important. We need to safeguard you, the individual, get you to a protected area, which we control, which ideally would have been inside that armored vehicle, and away we go.
All right, so let's talk about how this happens. This video, CJ, well, all right, let's start with the sniper, because this video is from the building he was on. It's not far. I'm told about 150 yards with an AR-15. That's a no problem shot, 150 yards. It's a little crude, so I'll play it here.
Yeah. We can see the guy there. I think they hit him because the guy he looks dead.
All right, so that's a building not far from where President Trump was speaking. CJ, I've been to these rallies. Last I remember, there was a Secret Service agent or state police officer on every single building that had line of sight to the president.
Those buildings around there should have been covered, if not by agents or something we call a CS response team. The CS guys that actually took the shot that neutralized that problem, hats off to them. That's what they trained to do. They trained to shoot out to longer distances than that. Those guys trained, they honed that skill. The mindset there was a gentleman that was interviewed. I saw another interview and he's like, hey, I told the Secret Service, I told the police, there's a man on the building, there's a man on the building. That building was within the protective zone. 150 yards, 200 yards, even 300 yards. That's a piece of cake shot. But by the grace of God, we still have President Trump with us.
All right. So why do you think we had President Trump unprotected? You had told me before you think the LGBTQ mafia, mania, whatever you want to call it, woke agenda has infected leadership, and I'll say leadership, inside the Secret Service. Do you blame that for some of this?
Well, to be specific and say that that's the specific cause, I would say it's a deterioration of a DEI mindset. There is a in place of, hey, we need to have 30% this, 30% that, 30% this. No, we need individuals that can do the job. That's the bottom line.
All right.
I
So
don't care who it is, gender, sex, whatever, religion, whatever. We need competent individuals properly trained to do the job. Myself and many of my predecessors, and even some there now, they dedicate themselves to get the job done. You don't have issues of people having breakdowns and attacking each other. It's about getting the job, and it comes down to the individual and the core, not a mindset or a belief or, hey, we should be this way or do. No, it's the job of protecting the offices of the President of the United States, Vice President, their families, and all others as designated. That's the bottom line.
all right. So for people listening and can't see, I'm going to state the obvious, CJ. CJ is a black Secret Service agent, former, retired. But this DEI mentality, I'm with you. I could care less if you're black or Hispanic or Asian, a female or a male. If you can do the job and you can keep the president safe, if you can do the job and you can investigate crime, if you can do the job and you can fight our enemies, whether it's the military, the FBI, the Secret Service, I don't care. Whether it's a company, I don't care. But if they are so focused on this, and I think we see this in the military, do you think this has an effect inside the Secret Service when it gets to planning and preparation? I mean, clearly that building wasn't covered. Are they more focused on this than they are the ultimate protection of their protectee?
So I'm going to start off with, it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. And I know I use an animal reference, but it comes down to the individual. I have worked with agents across the board, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, you name it. The rainbow spectrum there of people. Those people were fully competent to do the job. We didn't have someone, well, there were cases, but we didn't have the job where I have to pick up your slack and do for you because you can't do for yourself because you're fitting a quota. It comes down to doing the job. Doing the job means giving of yourself unselfishly, but you can carry your own weight. You can pull your own weight. You can pull somebody else's weight in addition to your weight. I didn't see that on that stage yesterday. You had people fumbling, mumbling, falling backwards, worrying about hats, couldn't even holster their guns after the fact. That's second nature. You go to your firearm, the firearm comes out, you deal with the problem, you have to put it away to go hands-on, it goes back in smoothly. It was bad. It was bad.
I'll go back to, anytime there's a tragedy, and I'll consider this a tragedy, it's also a miracle that he wasn't killed, but it's always a series of things that lead up to the event that go wrong, right? It's never one thing that goes wrong. It's always a series of things that go wrong. I'll go back to the very beginning. The very beginning is they could have put a rookie patrolman on that roof without a rifle, just standing there with a badge and a uniform, and you would have kept that guy from getting on the roof. How does it happen where that sniper found himself? How does it get to the point where that is uncovered?
It comes down to deterrence. Throughout the 20 years that I was there with the agency, as I said, I worked counter response. I worked situations where we had an area, we knew an area. If we couldn't staff it with the agent personnel, we had a police officer there. Just the mere presence of the uniform of someone looking as a deterrent to block access to an area where they should not have been, that would in and of itself helps deter people. As I mentioned before, the gentleman that was hollering, hey, there's a guy on the roof with the rifle. We saw him climb the building. And supposedly he said that to a police officer. The police officer's like, what? Who? What? Where?
So CJ, no. How does that happen? How does it go unprotected? Do you think the head of this detail needs to be fired? And let me be clear for everyone at home. President Trump has his own detail. I know President Trump well. I know members of that detail, and I know President Trump really trusts those direct individuals that surround him. But they're not. Maybe you should speak to this. How responsible is that direct detail around President Trump for the overall protection of a rally site? They can't be there days before to protect that.
It boils down to the advance team. The advance team has individuals assigned specific tasks. You know, you have your counter surveillance teams. You got your agents manning the site. You have your supervisor of those agents. It's a team effort before the detail even gets there. It's kind of like Thanksgiving dinner. Mom prepares the dinner, but everyone that comes may bring a dish or a plate with them. But the guests, when the guests show up, they show up to eat. That's the detail. The detail based their trust and confidence in the job that was done by everyone else.
Does someone
In this
need to
case,
be
it's lacking.
does someone need to be fired or resign over this? Investigations? What do you think?
Their investigation needs to be done. It needs to be done, and at least to look at all the parts thereof. In the words of some, some need to be fired, because that means you didn't do your job. You didn't provide the resources. You did not make sure that that man or those people showing up to that event were not safe. But first and foremost, our president, didn't get the coverage that he deserved.
Yeah, no, he sure didn't. You mentioned that witness. I want to play the audio for you. He was interviewed by the BBC, telling he warned people about this. There were some indications that the good guy snipers had seen this potential shooter maybe even earlier, because the way they started positioning their rifles changed throughout the speech.